On this weekend in Panther history, the Panthers became one step closer to clinching their first ever trip to the Stanley Cup final, and then one step closer to reaching their second straight Stanley Cup final in the year against the New York Rangers. What's up, Florida Panthers Daily? I'm AJ Sheridan, back here with you on a Friday. We've made it to another end of a work week. We've made it to another weekend, a weekend where hopefully we see the Eastern Conference extended just a little bit because, man, these playoffs have been fun. USA knocked out of the IIHF World Championships. Team Canada gets its revenge. We'll break that down. We'll look back on this day, this weekend in Florida Panther history. All that as we do every single day, Monday through Friday, right here on Florida Panthers Daily, part of the Fan Arch community. My social medias, if you want to stay up to date with us over the weekend as I live tweet and post stuff on my Instagram story, is AJ Sheridan Radio. And again, I'm getting ready to move out to the Midwest. I'll get to see the Panthers when they come to St. Louis next year. I'm already waiting on the schedule release, so I know what day I will be making that drive over to St. Louis and watch my loved Florida Panthers. If you are not already, go ahead, hit that subscribe button down below. It does us a lot of good here in the offseason. And then leave some comments down below here on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, Apple Music, go ahead, a little 5-star review, if you will. If you make us part of your morning every single day, I thank you for it. That subscribe button is big, and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below as we jump in now here on this Friday, May 28th, on this weekend in Panther history. If you're new, we do this every single day, Monday through Friday, to let you remember the good times that the Panthers had experienced in the past. And well, this day, and when I say this day, this weekend, tomorrow, May 30th, has been very kind to our Florida Panthers. Let's go all the way back, the farthest we've gone here in this series on Florida Panthers Daily in this day in Florida Panthers history, because the Panthers were taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. The year of the rat for the Florida Panthers all the way back to May 30th, 1996. The new Florida Panthers in the NHL were looking to make their first ever Stanley Cup final. They were down 3-2 going into Game 6 inside Miami Arena, where the Florida Panthers used to call home, and this game was full of penalties. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the first, 2 in the third, and too many to count in the second. I wasn't even alive for this game. Went back and read a little bit about it, and it was playoff hockey in the 90s, baby. There was nothing better than it, and it was a must-win game at home for the Florida Panthers in a Game 6 where the Panthers trailed the series 3-2. And well, in 1996, tomorrow, the Panthers forced the best two words in sports. They would protect home ice. They would win Game 6 by a score of 4-3 and force a Game 7 back up in Pittsburgh. You know we're going to keep you up to date on this day in Florida Panthers history on Florida Panthers Daily. But if you haven't caught my drift a little bit, I think we know how that Game 7 goes. We'll get to that on Monday here on Florida Panthers Daily and tell you about the time the Florida Panthers made their first ever Stanley Cup final all the way back in 1996. Now, for the viewers here on Florida Panthers Daily, part of the Fan Arts community, more my age, and you really just want to remember the past few years after watching the Carolina Hurricanes go up 3-1, a team that the Panthers have owned in the Eastern Conference Finals. They won 2, and there was a team sandwich in the middle. And it was back in 2024 over the weekend on May 30th, where the Panthers would win a crucial Game 5 in the world's most famous arena. Yesterday, we told you about the time where the Panthers won in overtime in Game 4, and that's why we now look to tomorrow. And this weekend in Florida Panthers history, I got a bug flying on my eye in here. It's summertime in Florida. You don't know what bugs and what creatures are out there. But you knew the Panthers were on the hunt tomorrow 2 years ago when there was a 3-2 win for the Florida Panthers. Anton Lundell and Sam Bennett in the third period had enough power to do it for the Florida Panthers. And you know, this series also might have ended one game after the game that we are talking about here today on Florida Panthers Daily. So you know we'll keep you up to date on this day in Panthers history. But again, they were down 2-1 in this series. You find a way to win in overtime yesterday 2 years ago, and then tomorrow 2 years ago. The Florida Panthers on the road against Igor Shesterkin, 37 shots. Sergei Bobrovsky was good in between the pipes. He had 25 saves. Igor was so good he still earned the third star in this one. But it was Gustav Forsling who said after the game, we've done it all year in the third period. And man, that's why we do this every single day, Monday through Friday, looking back on Florida Panther history. Because that's what we've done, Gustav Forsling said after this win 2 years ago today in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then you look back on this season, the third period woes continue. How many times did I say that here for you on Florida Panthers Daily? You can go back and watch the videos. It was my first 2 weeks of doing the show. I had that little lower third graphic saying third period woes. Panthers can't get it done in the third period. Panthers blow another one. It's Groundhog Day. It's deja vu. The Panthers weren't able to get it done in the third period this past season, and I think moving forward next year, we'll get a lot more of these type of games that we've been looking back on this day in Florida Panther history. Speaking of looking back in history a little bit, you remember the Winter Olympics in the middle of this NHL season? Yeah, Team USA taking home the gold medal. Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, the boys were celebrating. Free Bird. Everyone kind of was all united around this Team USA hockey. Not as many people maybe focused on the World Championships. You got teams still playing. That's why Matthew Tkachuk, this was his first time representing Team USA. He's had contract disputes in the past, and you don't want to risk injury. This time he was locked in, and he was going for that triple gold, the first American looking to be the first American, and Team USA would fall short. Team Canada got its revenge yesterday in a 4-0 shutout over Team USA. I mean, both goaltenders were very good in this one, but there's nothing you could do with the way Devin Cooley looked. Of course, the Flames goalie, Team USA, 34 shots on goal, 0 times lighting the lamp. Team USA ended this year's IIHF World Championships with a losing record, 3-1-0-4 for Team USA in this tournament, and it just wasn't good enough in the group stage for the red, white, and blue, and you get the draw where you're going to have to play Team Canada in your first elimination game. Every Panther that was represented at these World Championships made it to the quarterfinals. Alexander Barkov, Anton Lundell, the only two, of course they're on the same team with Team Finland, the only two to advance to the semifinals yesterday. But what a tournament for Velmanek. Tied for the most points by a Latvian player in one World Championship ever. And they only made it to the quarterfinals. But again, Anton Lundell, he scored for Team Finland yesterday. They would pick up a win. They are moving on to the semifinals. Team USA, Canada got the best of them this time. We'll be back, though. I'm not worried, because if this Team USA showed us anything in the Winter Olympics, it's that they know how to fight. And you could see how proud Matthew Tkachuk was to be able to represent this American team. Of course, he missed the first few games of this tournament. He would join the team later on. Sore throat here with you on a Friday, almost to the weekend. Got to be ready to roll for the weekend, right? That's why I'm going with the coffee. But no, this Team USA team put up a good fight. You run into a buzzsaw sometimes, and if you're a Florida Panthers fan, you remember the series against the Lightning a few years ago where it felt like no matter what you did, you just weren't going to be able to beat Andrei Vasilevsky. That's what it felt like yesterday for the Stars and Stripes at the World Championships. And talk about the opposite of that, that's probably how the Carolina Hurricanes felt playing Sergei Bobrovsky over the past few Eastern Conference Finals. But how about it? Not anymore. This Carolina Hurricane team, they figured it out. We kind of said rust versus rest, and we saw that happen in Game 1. But it was Wednesday night. The Carolina Hurricanes, now it seems like any shot they put on net is going to beat the goaltender and go ahead and score a goal. A 4-0 win, and it happened in a flurry on Wednesday night. It was one goal after another in the first period. Then a kind of quiet, stalemate second period. The Hurricanes would put it on them in the third. And you can see back-to-back 7-game series for the Montreal Canadiens maybe catching up with them. And now the Carolina Hurricanes able to wear them down the way the Florida Panthers were able to wear down the Carolina Hurricanes the past few seasons. It's a win-or-go-home game tonight for the Montreal Canadiens down in Raleigh, and it should be a fun one. If this game goes the Canadiens' way tonight, I'll let you know my thoughts on it coming up on my best bet here in just a second on Florida Panthers Daily. Then we'll have another game Sunday night in Montreal, and I hope so. They announced the start dates. It'll be June 4th if this series. It'll be June 2nd if the Hurricanes end it tonight. It'll be June 4th if this series has to go 6 or 7 games. I hope you didn't just move your hands up behind your TV there, behind your computer, however you watch us here on Florida Panthers Daily. 6-7 was a few months ago now. We don't have to keep doing that. But let's move on. And speaking of a game 6, I think we get one. I said before the series that it will be Hurricanes in 6. That was my best bet here on Florida Panthers Daily a few days ago. So I'm going to stick with it. Give me the Montreal Canadiens on the money line in Carolina to extend their season. They've shown it all postseason long that they're able to do it, something the Carolina Hurricanes weren't able to do against the Florida Panthers the past few seasons. But I think maybe it's hard to keep your foot on the gas pedal when you're up 3-1. Now, if you're the Vegas Golden Knights, do you want to start a little early? You're already getting the rest. Are you rooting for the Canes? I don't know. Who would you be rooting for if you're a Knights fan? Are you rooting for the winner of the East to go on and beat the Vegas Golden Knights no matter what? My best bet of the day is that this series will go at least 6 games. Until Monday, Florida Panthers Daily, go ahead, subscribe, leave your comments down below. And until Monday, let's go Cats.